we are, Parkville United. Besides trying to create excellent soccer players, we're also trying to create excellent human beings on and off the field every single day. What we've been trying to do is try and instill hard work into these players that we have, so they can not only become professionals on the soccer field, but also professionals in life. Whether that might be becoming a professional doctor, professional scientist, whatever it may be, we want our kids to excel at the best, and to do so by working hard every single day. So now, who we are. We have some guys up here. We have Nate Bell, Executive Director, Kent B. Johnson, the General Manager, James Casato, Director of Operations, Nate Stewart, Girls Program, Samora Johnson, Director of Coaching, Dylan Cope, Director of Select League, Ian Day George, Director of Top Footy, Kayla Riley, the Director of Administration, Shaq Easel, Director of Development Program, and John Luca, the PSU Coordinator. And why we're here today is to let you guys know the expectations of the players, what to expect from us coaches, and most importantly, what we expect from you and the families. So now, I'm looking forward for the main man, Mr. Nate Bell.
Thank you all for coming here. It's really crazy to be here and looking out and seeing all your faces. We've had a lot of families who've been here for the whole time. It's such a young club. I know I saw Ramiro just walk in. His son, Ramiro, where are you? So, Ramiro's son, Ian, was the first kid to ever sign up on team staff. So let's say that and his wife designed the previous version of the logo, and he built this whole clubhouse. So, really appreciate the work, so that's a quick shout out. So, my job, I'm the founder of the club, I'm the executive director. That means I used to get to play with the kids, and now I never get to play with the kids. And so, a lot of you know how the club started, when it started, shared 7 years ago, but I don't think I've ever told anyone why the club started. So, as a adolescent and on the way up, I had two main missions. One was somehow improve society and help people, and the other one was become the best player I could be, the very best player in the world, and then very quickly I realized that was not going to happen. So, figure out how to be the best coach, maybe that could have, but figure out how to improve the players the very best possible. So, what that led to on the social side is, when I was 14, I started assisting my little sister's rep soccer team, and became a CIT, as some of the kids in our first generation did this summer, which was really cool, and became a after-school counselor, and basically every day from 14 up until I stopped getting the opportunity to work with kids here, almost every single day I've been working with kids. And I feel really privileged to have been part of that work. So that took me to college. I wound up spending a year living in India and researching how they see happiness on a personal level and youth development, which is very different than us, by the way. And then I planned to do a Master's of Social Work, and I wound up doing a Master's of Sports Psychology, which aligned a little bit more with how I saw my life going. Then on the soccer side, I coached from 14 on, continued to play, and did a Master's of Sports Psychology, and one of the players I had coached from 8 to 12, so to put it in context, the kid was the same age as the 2008 kids right now. He was that old, and he and I moved to Croatia. No parents. He was invited to join one of the top academies in the world, so in a room the size of the grass up here, he and I lived there. And I would bring him to school, sometimes over my shoulder, and I was lucky to go through that experience with him, as hard as it was for him and I. And one of the really cool things out of it was, I always thought, USA, 300 million people, we're going to be so amazing. 14, I'm thinking, wow, the sky's the limit. U.S. was doing like the 10-year plan to plan to win the World Cup in 10 years. That does not look smart now, 15 years on. And I'd always thought, man, Croatia, 4 million people, have some of the best players in the world. Definitely the most per capita. How did they do it? So here I was going there with doing a master's degree, and then I told everyone I was doing my master's thesis, which I thought I was, and it didn't get the Proven Subject Review on the way back. But I got to talk with national team coaches, national team players, professional coaches, administrators, etc. How is it that they produce such good players? And what was really interesting to see being over there was that it wasn't about the methodology, it wasn't about the genetics, it wasn't about any of that stuff. What it was really about was every neighborhood has a futsal pitch and it's filled with kids playing unstructured. And learning from the older kids, trying things, making mistakes. Of Europe, you got the most kids playing on their own, making their own ideas. And then on the other hand, every single club in every neighborhood would have a pitch or two with a cafe. All the parents would go there, have coffee, have beer together, have the playground right there that the young kids would play at. And all the old men of the neighborhood would sit there, and when the parents needed to go somewhere, they just left, and the old men watched the kids. And that's how you become a soccer player. So I thought I had kind of seen something, and here the answer to one mission was also the answer to the other mission. It's the people helping other people and not being isolated and being left to their own devices. And having worked with kids coming through adolescence and seeing my own peers get addicted to drugs, go to jail, the understanding that relying on just the nuclear family and your own parents, when you're rebelling against your parents, you gotta have more than just your parents. You gotta have other people that are voices that can pull you in and move you in the right direction. So I had this idea, I want to start a soccer club. We're going to produce the very best players, and we're going to produce the best people, and it's going to mean something. So came back to the States, had a great job coaching at Red Bulls. I had to try this out. So it was Camp Friendship, January 2nd, 2012. Coach James was Mr. Krabby. On the floor, he was an undergrad at St. Francis. And we had 7 kids. Ian was one of them. And actually, there are now 3 younger siblings from that 7 kids that weren't interested in soccer, except for one. But 3 of the younger siblings in the last couple of years have come and are now in the club again. So their families are back. And then a year on, we had just boomed to 20 kids. And at that point, Kevin started commuting from the Bronx, which was a little over 2 hours at that time, for one session, $25 per week, and he built his whole life around that. So then it's been so incredible, you know, to watch what's happened since then. Seeing kids that are 3 years old are now 10, and people that I really respect as young people in the world. And now we have, actually it's more than 28 teams. This year we had around 1,100 kids in the club. And I'm really proud that we've grown in a way that has made everything stronger and has brought people together. And one of the coolest things is creating the spaces that I had seen over there and never seen over here. And you're sitting in one right now, which I think is a cool place for the kids to come and cool for us to be in together. And we're working on other projects. We're working on building a field that is right by Barclays Center. And do you know Bishop Lockwood Field, where Brooklyn Free used to be? So we've gotten approval to build a soccer field there that we'll share with them. They'll use during the day, and we will do there with the same idea of building spaces where people feel at home. So our structure, very quickly, when it comes to the travel, what feeds up top footy, development class, development league, select league. So basically, families can take one step after another and not have to dive in over their heads to what can be a really big commitment, I know. And the way that we've designed it On the girls' side is to have 1 team per age group. On the boys' side, to have 2 even teams per age group, especially in the neighborhood phase, we call it like the 8 to 12-year-old phase. And the reason for that is that my belief and experience is that when you go to A team, B team at too young of an age, the kids start to develop an ego. And when they do that, they also get scared of taking risks and expanding their game and personality. And the kids who are on the B team are deflated. 7 years old, 8 years old, especially when they all love the sport and they all have just about equal potential, doesn't make sense to me. So the way we conceived of it was family systems, structure, 2 even teams, coach stays with them through this neighborhood phase. And the teammates are like siblings. Coaches are like parents. The other team players are like cousins. Other coach is like a aunt or uncle. I'm a grandparent. The other parents are like neighbors. And the other coaches are like other extended aunts or uncle that you see at your family meeting. So trying to build an environment where so many people are watching out for you. And if you're going off track, there's a lot of people that are going to notice and collaborate to bring you in the right way. So can you move on, please? So the people who all have to work together, based on the literature and my experience, you got to have the coaches collaborating with the parents. You got to have the parents with the right association to their kid, where the kid is the main actor and the parent is the supporter, the one asking questions, the one helping them frame their experience. And the kid and the coach have to have a trusting and motivational relationship. All of that comes in a system where you need administrators that care. So we are so young. It's crazy how young we are and where we are. It doesn't make any sense. We should have failed and should not exist. But the amount that the people sitting on the stage care is really hard to find. And I'm really proud to have attracted and retained such fine people. It's hard. Very hard structurally, because you have more people than a school in 1/10 the budget to do things with more stress and traveling, and you're all over the place. So it's a hard beast to wrangle. I will tell you, we really try our best, and we really care to get back to emails, to give clear answers, to coach the kids, do all the things. We're learning it. I have not done any of this, and really none of us have. And it's working just because we care to develop ourselves as much as we care about the kids. You guys are so lucky to have the parent managers we have in the club. I'm going to ask the parent managers to stand up because in a nutshell that I was long-winded to say was going from transacting to collaborating and helping each other. And all the parent managers have created this environment in their teams through sheer willpower and role modeling of what it looks like to wake up at 5:30 a.m. and send me an email, that Sports Engine thing, for the 5th time, create this other platform, this other card, all the crazy things that happen, and to create this environment where it lets people trust and help other people, and then get 15 people helping out. So parent managers really appreciate it. I do want to give a special thanks to Amy, who has figured the whole for the formatting of this. So and now I'm going to pass it over to the general manager, Coach Hill.
It's a great pleasure to be here, and welcome everyone. So I'm here to talk about the value that we try to instill in our kids. From Nate Bell taking coffee to the first class. This first ever class consists of seven players. Ian was in that class. I fortunately coached him last year, and probably for 5 years I've been coaching him. So from that first class, Nate Bell, he thought it would be a good idea to bring coffee for those 7 parents, or 7 families. Thinking of just an embrace that could be delivered to those 7 parents, and just having that feel of embrace and the warm welcome. We are not able to do that today because because we're way ahead of like 7. We're 1,200, I guess. So, the way that we're able to deliver this form of embrace is through our community, through our teams, through the teams going for a picnic. After a game, they stop and get dinner together. So within all of this, we are able to like bring this feeling alive and continue and expand this feeling. So one of the main things that we take into consideration as we go about this system that we're trying to create is every single coach you see here, like they try to embrace the kids from a huddle at the end of each practice, saying united and shaking the coach's hand. We try to deliver that feeling in whatever we do. So the second rock that we try to build everything that we're doing on is integrity. When we're hiring a coach, one of the main things that we seek is that coach a good fit for the club? Will this coach try to conform to our ideals and what we believe in? Coach Sambi, he will elaborate on that later. But it is very important to us that the coaches are able to impart a certain type of feel, a certain type of direction in each kid. And the way he does that, or he or she, is by carrying themselves with a certain standard. And this standard will allow the kids to go forward in the right direction. So one of the main things that we look for is respect. We expect every coach to respect the parents, respect each other, respect the players. Very important. And in doing that, the kids do likewise. The third rock is excellence. This is a soccer club, so we compete. We compete in hard-fought games, and to compete, you have to have a certain style and a certain way of going about competing. So for us, structurally, we have a curriculum that is kind of unique, and it has been working. I bought into it the first time when we spoke about it with Nick. It makes sense. It's a player-centered curriculum. The player gets to really decide which direction he or she wants to go. The coaches are there to stimulate and to kind of guide the player using our philosophy and our ideals, but in that same breath, the player has to be in total control, meaning that he has to make his own ideas. He has to be able to think freely, be able to play, and have his own ideas. So those are some of the important things that we're doing. And I know you guys are all great people, and it's obvious because when the kids come to us, they come to us in already polished way, so it's very easy for all the coaches here. So for that, I would like to commend you guys for just being good role models for your kids. When they come to us, we will try our best. All the coaches here can attest to that. We try our best to ensure that we let our lights shine.
Hi everyone, thank you all for coming out. We really appreciate everything you guys do for us, and thank you for entrusting your children with us. I'm going to speak a little bit on our philosophy as coaches and what you guys can expect of us as coaches. So I think what we see as our main aim, or the way that we would describe being a good coach, is finding balance. Finding a balance between taking a kid out of their comfort zone, where they're willing to take risks, willing to learn new things for themselves in difficult situations, but not too far out of that comfort zone so that they panic, or if they fail, they're afraid to try it again. So it's finding that middle ground, or that sweet spot where they can really elevate themselves both on and off the field. So what you guys can expect from us as coaches is, one, is that we set high standards on and off the field. When we're coaching, is that we're there on time, is that we're trying to do the right things with your children, is that we are focused on teaching them the right way, and that off the field, we're setting a good example as well. So I pride myself on, if a family or a child sees me on the street, it should never be in a bad light. They should never come to practice and say, "Oh, Coach Sambi, I saw you like doing something really bad on the street the other day." And then my whole practice is ruined, because that's the only thing I'll be able to focus on. Now, I'm supposed to be a good role model for your kid on and off the field, just like we want them to be good on and off the field. We try to pride ourselves on being that as well. So one of the things that I've had happen to me, especially over the past year, frequently I've had happen to me, is kids coming up to me after practice and asking, "Coach Sambi, how did I do today? What can I do better? What did I not do so well today?" And I can tell you, I give you guys this tip now, it's one of the best things you can encourage your kids to do, is to go to the coaches and ask for feedback. Coaches are always willing to give you feedback, and there is always something that a kid needs to improve on. It might not even be soccer-wise. It could be, I said to put your backpack down and you put your water bottle out of your backpack. I didn't like it at all. It could be something like that. It could be you come into practice, you need to be focused right away. But so we are going to give your children that informal evaluation, but also they will get a formal evaluation once a year. And there's a new structure for all of that. Everything will be laid out perfectly so you guys will be able to see that. Another thing you can expect is that we will treat your children as individuals. All of you are here as a collective. All of your children are different. And being a coach and being involved in a team, you have to try to know your players. Because not every player is going to react the same way to everything. So I think it's very important that we learn how your children are, so that we learn what's best to communicate with them, how it is best to get the best out of them. Another thing that we want to work on is going off of what Coach Kempe said and what Coach Nate said, well, not a coach anymore, and what Nate said, is building that community aspect. I want to you guys give a round of applause for the girls program, especially because I know that they have done a lot of environmental activities. They've done picking up bottle caps and stuff from the parade grounds and the parks and stuff like that. It is something that I feel very strongly about, and that's something that we're going to be pushing for, that we get more involved in the community and do more community-centered activities. Another thing you can expect from us is that if your child is having an issue or a problem or something that we see, is that we're going to come to you and spoken a dialogue about it. It's very important to us that your children's mental health and that your children's social health is being taken care of. So that's something that's very important. We have a strict anti-bullying policy. If we see that happening, we're going to reach out and try to have it rectified and nip it in the bud. And now I'm going to introduce the Pied Piper of the Girls program.
Thank you for being here. What I'm going to discuss is just a brief overview of parents and what we expect from you and what we expect from the kids. These are all things that you signed up for when you signed up for the travel program. Just quick overview. What we're looking for the most this year is to build our community higher. We brought in Yuki, who has volunteered his time to get like a parent group together and make sure we have everyone at games. So Kayla also made a calendar. It has every single PSU home game and away game on there. We would love to see as many people out there as possible. I grew up as a player, and honestly, these relationships that you build with your teammates and with these families will last a lifetime. I still have people that I can call mom and call up when I have problems. And if people that know me, you know how much that means to me, that I can call someone up and say, I have a problem, I need help. These relationships will last far beyond soccer. I'm 25 years old and I can call someone I haven't spoken to since I was 14, and they will still help me to this day. These relationships mean more than you know, and so showing up to these games as a younger player or an older player and supporting these other people will mean more than anything, and that's what Nate has focused his entire being into creating for these families in this program, is that we can support each other and really step up and be there for these kids. The next one, this is all about player expectations. The one that we really want to hit on a lot is, I know what's important for these parents, is 5th grade is a big year for a lot of these kids in New York and going to school. One of our problems here is that you have to keep up with your schoolwork. If a kid is not meeting schoolwork, you need to let us know. Sambi mentioned that keeping an open communication, open dialogue with the coaches is the most important thing. We will know what is happening at home, what's happening at school, what's happening at practice. These are all times when we can come together and figure out what's going wrong. If they have a problem, we know what's going wrong on all fronts as a unit. If we don't have an open dialogue and open communication, we can't help each other. And then we'll see a kid maybe slide behind the 8 ball, and we don't know why. Maybe they have a problem at school, they're being bullied, and they won't open up to us, but they told you. We don't know these things. What's most important is that we are holding these kids to the same standards on both fronts. We need to be a united front when we hold kids to standards. I'm sure you all know as parents, if one person says something, the other one says something else, it's not going to work. And so we all need to make sure that we're all on the same page and have an open dialogue. Each kid, each coach, each team is completely different. So we all need to take the time, including us, not just you, to get to know each other and to get to know our kids and know what we're looking for from them. Because that's what we're really building towards, is to have confident and brave people. And I'm sure that if you know me as a coach and you've had other people, that's our biggest goal, is to make sure that when they leave soccer or if they continue their soccer career, they're confident enough that they know what they're capable of and they can step up and take on goals. And that's what we're really looking for and looking to build. So the next one up, James.
Okay, we got playing time, guest players, and roster size. So every player will play at least 30% of available time, as well as experience 2 different positions throughout the year. So your son's a forward, your daughter's a forward, she might be playing center back this year, or vice versa. Expect those changes, support those changes. Sometimes, it's awesome they score goals, but we want the kids to be a team as united as possible. Their success is our success. They should be one to become sisters and brothers on and off the field. By doing this is by experiencing different things. Also, these are some of the things that will determine whether you play. Focus, work ethic, punctuality, consistency at practices, being at practice. That's a really big one. To be playing on the field, you have to be at practice. If you're not at practice, you won't know what to do at the games. Also, attitude, how they arrive to practice. Do they want to play? What happened at school? Are you going through something? They have to be able, like Nate said, open communication on all parties, the player, the coach, and the family. Okay? And guest players. Travel players, there will always be several players on the bench. If the coach is missing players for whatever reason, and it's approved by the director of coaching, we are allowed to bring guest players from other teams. If the players aren't meeting the expectations, this is another way guest players can join the team. If they're not meeting the expectations, just showing up to the games, there's a chance that we will invite another guest player to come and to play forward. It's not something that we want to do, but these expectations across the board for every single team.
So you might have noticed that your team has this new fancy app. It's Team Manager app. If you don't have this app or you don't have a link to download this app, I would suggest that you reach out to your parent manager, because as of this season, or the start of this season, we're moving all team conversations and schedules and whatever the team might want to talk about here. So I would suggest that if you don't have this app, you try to reach out to your team member. And the reason why we have this app is a lot of emails are going around, like first 7 years, a lot of emails, tons of emails, and even for the coaches, to be honest, it was very hectic. It was too much. So we figured that having everything in one centralized place would help you guys as a family, and it would make the experience a lot better. And I'm sure that if you have downloaded it already, you've been having a much easier ride. Yes? Yes? No? Yeah? I mean, it takes a little bit to get into it, but as soon as we get the season posted, we should be. So that's it for this section. Now we'll hand over to Kayla.
All right, so we had people send in some questions this week. Some out of the we didn't get a lot of questions, which is great. But out of the few that we did, I know a couple were already answered, so we're not going to go through those. We're just going to go through two. Sorry if this does not focus on you, because both these questions are for the 07s. So Coach Kippy's going to answer the questions really quick, but we'll just go through it. The first question is, what are the club's plans for the 07s in the 2020 and 2021 season?
All right, Coach Nate, he touched on the U13 and over. So every team from 2007 all the way down to 2012 at the moment, and then 2013. Every team will have that structure where we have one pool of players at U13, and on a game day we have two separate teams. So everything is based on merit at that point. If you met all the expectations and you're not saying good enough, but you're meeting all those expectations, you're on the national team, and then some players are going to be on the regional team. And the national team, they will participate in a tougher league, the regional team in the local league. So yes, the 2007 team will keep going until U18 with PSU. So don't panic.
All right.
Can I give the rationale for that? So the rationale for that was, I really felt like at the younger ages, it was important to add more cohesiveness and continuity than is typical. I also think, from my experience coaching lots of kids through these age groups, that it's also important as they get older to have a little bit, basically take the goal and shorten the length of time they're working for it. Because my experience is, once they're in that adolescence, 13, 14, 15, 16 time, their ability to work for a goal, 8-year-olds can work for a goal that's further off than they can. Puberty, peers, middle school as a whole. So we want to keep that feeling of we're all one group, and it's been great to see the 07. They all know each other. This is our first year of doing it. They all know each other. They're all part of one group, and it's based on how much you're working, how hard you're working, whether you get to represent the higher level team or the lower level team on the weekend. And we think that that's important, pushing them as soccer players. We also think it's important pushing them as people that are working for something and have a weekly objective, because the alternative is, and the easier, much easier logistically for us. That I know as hard as it is for parents, it's harder for us logistically to manage that. It's easier to just say, this is this team for the year. But the problem with that is that once you do that, you might lose 12 kids that never play soccer again, boom, and they're gone. And who knows where they go when they're dropping out at 14 into something that you really liked. So that's the rationale for it. And the goal, the plan is to continue that from the U13 up until the college age. So all the kids where they are, so let's say the 2009s, on the boys' side, we're at 2. That same pool of kids will be playing together all the way up to they go to college, as long as they're here in this club.
Can I ask a football thing? Yeah.
2007, yeah.
So so this whole week will be sort of Wednesday, I guess, edition of the team is going to continue through all the seasons.
The plan is, I mean, this is the first year, and we're doing a structure that I haven't seen other places, but the plan is, assuming we get the effect that we're hoping for, is to continue up to college age. Yep.
All right, so the last question that we had, another 07 question, I'm just going to answer really quickly. It's about the player evaluations for 07s. It's going to be the exact same as for every other team here. So they'll get evaluated at the end, they'll get their thing that Coach Sambi built out for all the child team players. They'll get the same exact one every single year, and it'll be the exact same. If you have any further questions, you can definitely email them, but we want to get people out of here. So we're just going to end this really quick. We want to give some little save the dates. As you guys know, we try to put on get together for at the end of every single season. So we have a fall, winter, and spring. So the fall get together will be on Sunday, November 24th at Soccer Roof from 3 to 7. The winter one will be March 7th. That's a Saturday. Sorry, November. And don't worry, I will email all this. Don't worry. So November 24th is the fall on Sunday. That's 3 to 7 at Soccer Roof. The winter one is also at Soccer Roof. It's March 7th. That's a Saturday from 4 to 8 p.m. That'll be at Soccer Roof. That is March 7th. And then the spring will be same place, Prospect Park, on June 21st. That's a Saturday from 12 to 4 p.m. And last thing before we jet out, Nate Stewart already let the cat out of the bag.
I have a question.
We'll talk after.
We'll talk after, yeah. If you have any more questions, you can email. We just want to get everybody out of here. Nate already let the cat out of the bag, so we're putting together a PSU supporters group. And the main focus of that is just to have something for the parents. You guys consume your time with your kids, especially here at PSU. So we want to give you guys that atmosphere to kind of, rely on each other, get to know each other. I don't know if any of you guys have seen during the spring on Fridays, we play at Pier 5, and we all try to get a group together of all the parents. We all go to Fornino, we drink, eat, have such a great time, and it's such a good atmosphere. So we want to continue that throughout the whole entire year. And Yuki, who is basically a professional at coordinating events, he is going to be the president of the supporters club. There is in the state cups and all that stuff. We even have a girls team that's in the Premier League, which is huge. We want to keep that atmosphere, and I hope you guys know our program has the top girls program in Brooklyn. Right there, please grab some food, and if you can sign up, please grab any of the goodies.
And one thing, we carried the chairs up here, so if you had the privilege of sitting in a chair, please ask to carry your chair
and I'll direct you
to the
where to go.
basement.